While it has been an almost complete disaster in nearly every other imaginable sort of way, this summer has been pretty good for finding weird stuff.
Weird stuff. Summer pickups.
In this video, I'm going to focus on some of the more unusual weird stuff that I found over the summer. A few of the items are actually fairly common, but some of the stuff is definitely not. Even if only for me, all of these computer pickups have some kind of Unix connection. Even this AT&T 6300 PC. I'll talk about that connection more when I eventually do a video about this computer. At this point, I haven't even turned it on, and I'm sure that it's going to need at least some work to get it going. The plan is for there to be at least one video about that, depending on how bad it is inside. The actual Unix systems were all donated by a local collector who needed to free up some space in his house. He was happy to see them go to a good home, and I'm happy to provide one. The first of these is a DECstation 2100. This computer has a very similar CPU to the original PlayStation, but it runs at about half the clock speed. He told me the last time he did a scratch build of BSD on this system, it took an entire week to compile everything. Sorry, Gen 2, you haven't got a chance. One really weird thing about this computer is that it has one of the most bizarre mice I've ever seen. Not only is it a seriously non-ergonomic hockey puck shape, but it has these rotating discs on the bottom for tracking. I've seen plenty of odd mice, but this is a first. I'm not sure how it differentiates between horizontal and vertical movement. The interface plug looks a bit like an old Microsoft bus mouse, but I'm not sure if it's at all compatible. This is the machine in the group that I was most excited about. This is the DEC 3000 Model 400. It is the first alpha processor desktop system. This one was apparently used at the Oregon Graduate Institute, back when that was still a thing. When I clean it up, I think I'll leave that property tag on it, just for the sense of history. None of these digital systems are currently working. They haven't been powered on in years, and each one has some kind of issue. At some point, I should do at least one video cleaning up and fixing up each of these systems. I also have a special project in mind for this particular system, but I don't anticipate getting to that for quite some time. The last of the digital Unix workstations is the Multia, or UDB, Universal Desktop Box. It is also an alpha processor system, but it uses a fairly crappy version of the processor. It was intended as a low-cost system that could also run Windows NT. It came out alongside a very similar looking Pentium 100 system, and it has about the same overall performance. One cool thing about this specific unit is that it still has the vertical mounting stand. As is very common with the stands that still exist, all but one or two of the plastic clips that hold it to the computer are broken. Moving away from Unix, I found this little gem. You can see that the box is for a Sound Blaster 1.5, but inside I found a Sound Blaster 2.0 and a very early Sound Blaster 16. Now I'm definitely okay with the box contents not matching the box in this case, especially since I already have a Sound Blaster 1.5 that doesn't have a box. You can easily tell that the Sound Blaster 16 is a very early version because it still has the analog volume knob on the back. The only weird thing about this somewhat modern graphics card is that it's the AGP version. It's one of the two fastest AGP graphics card. The other fastest graphics card is the Radeon HD 4670, which I also have. This card has a slightly faster GPU, but only 512 megs of RAM, and the other has a slightly slower GPU, but 1 gigabyte of RAM. Which is actually faster depends entirely on the benchmark at hand. There are several videos on YouTube comparing these two cards, and I also intend to do one. However, mine will be the only one that compares the cards using the open source Linux drivers. The other interesting thing about this particular card is that it looks like it's never been used. I mean, look at how shiny it is. Here is a very old Commodore Datasette. From the look of it, this could have been used at one time with one of Adrian Black's Commodore PET computers that came from the Portland School District. This one has seen much better days. It's filthy, the case has some damage, and it doesn't eject, at the very least. I may eventually try to fix this unit, but I doubt I'll make a video about it. There are already plenty of Datasette repair videos out there. I don't know why, but I've always thought little tabletop arcade machines like this were really cool. When I was a little kid, I had this crazy idea that I was going to get a bunch of games like Pac-Man and Frogger and Donkey Kong that Coleco made and turn a room of my house into a little arcade where I'd charge neighborhood kids like 50 cents or something to come in and play video games for an hour. The good news, bad news about this unit is there's no evidence of battery corrosion, but there's also no cover for the battery compartment. Those always go missing. Aside from that, it is in really good cosmetic condition. In addition to looking pretty good, it also works. And wow, probably doesn't come through in the video very well, but it is loud. I picked up a pretty good collection of Microvision games. I think this accounts for around a third of the entire library for that system. A couple of the boxes are pretty rough, and some are missing the manuals. I had acquired a Microvision system a few years ago, but I didn't have any games for it. So I was pretty excited to finally be able to try it out. I mean, who doesn't want to play games on a 16x16 display? Somewhat predictably, nothing comes up on the screen when you turn it on. I tried all the games, and they're all basically like this. You can turn it on and try to start the game, but nothing comes up on the screen. Pretty much every Microvision screen has bit rotted and is dead. However, on some of the games, eventually some sounds will come out of the speaker. So it seems like the system itself is working, and at least some of the games must be working, but without a working screen, you can't really do anything. Some folks over on Atari Age are working on a project to make replacement screens, so maybe someday I'll be able to get this working. I hope you enjoyed this video. It has definitely been a learning experience for me, and I have some newfound respect for other people on YouTube whose work I've enjoyed over the years. I look forward to hearing any constructive comments that people may have, but I've been around the internet long enough to know what to actually expect. My plan is for the next video that I shoot to be about this AT&T PC, but that may not be the next video that I post. Depending on how smoothly things go, yeah right, I may try to sneak in a SepTandy video before the month is out, but we'll see. But for now,